find other great podcasts like this one at podmoth.network.
I want to know everything about the fucking Halloween party.
Oh, yeah. So Halloween at Disneyland is probably the supreme time to go to Disneyland, I found out, because they just give you candy everywhere you go at the Halloween party.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
As an adult?
There were just bins of candy, and they gave you a bag at the beginning, and they were like, here you go. I'm still making my way through it. But my favorite thing was that we got to ride a butt ton of rides with, like, no line. Because the party is pretty limited. Not super limited, but like there were still lines. But Chris and I decided to ride a lot of rides with short times rather than do the candy or meeting characters, which were fine options. There was a Halloween parade that I enjoyed.
Damn, I'm not a Disney person, but this kind of sounds awesome.
You know, I was thinking about you when we were there because it is the spookiest time of all.
Of course.
And I was like, damn, I think Sophie would like some of this, but the crowds would just you would hate the crowds. And so many children. Oh, yeah. Just so many screaming children and bad parents from my perspective.
I can see that 100%. Yeah, I would not like the crowds, but I think the costume aspect is fun because that sounds like that's maybe the only time you can wear like a costume proper in Disneyland, right?
Yeah, you can do bounding. You know, you can kind of have the essence of a costume, but they don't allow like full-blown costumes other than for their like Halloween parties. And even then there were some like rules, mostly like pretty reasonable, like no giant props.
For sure.
Nothing like too scary or violent. It was a Halloween party mostly for children. Yeah, it was a blast. Chris and I were Tweedledee and Tweedledum.
You guys looked amazing. I was living for all of the pictures on Instagram. I was like, absolutely. I love all these line pics. I was almost going to call you because I thought you would be in line. So I was going to call you.
Probably was.
Yeah. Joe and I were having drinks at this fancy tiki place.
Ooh.
And I was like, why? We could call Katelyn. And then I was like, no, we shouldn't disturb her.
Oh, well, yeah, I was probably eating something or in a line. But yeah, no, it was really fun. It was too fun because now I'm like back to reality and just like, God damn, this my life is not magical every day anymore.
No, but Halloween itself approaches.
True. Halloween proper is almost here, and I already have a Halloween costume, so...
Yeah, bada bing, bada boom, Tweedledee, Tweedledum.
Yeah, I said I wanted to revisit it because it was just so fun. And then we would see other Tweedledees and Tweedledums in the park and be like, hey! And they'd be like, hey! And it was just very silly.
Oh my God, you should have gotten pictures all together.
I should have. My favorite was, did you ever see the live action Alice in Wonderland that Tim Burton did?
Yeah.
There was a pair dressed as the live action Tweedledee and Tweedledum. So they had bald caps on and like striped shirts and suspenders. It was really funny.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
I'm so excited for Halloween.
Oh, it's such a blast. And have you decided what you're going to be for Halloween yet, or are you still working on it?
Still working on it. We've been watching...
There's time.
There's time. We've been watching a lot of horror, so there's a lot of good options.
Oh, yeah. Saw 10? No, I'm just kidding.
I'll be the Saw from Saw.
Yeah.
In olden days, a glimpse of femur was only for morbid dreamers, but you're not alone. Bring anything bones. Two goofy gals with deathly interest go on a skeleton inquest in your headphones. Anything bones.
Hello and welcome to Anything Bones. My name is Sophie Existential Horror Schwartz.
And my name is Katelyn. A picture is worth 1,000 words. Heart. And you're listening. Yes, you are listening to the podcast where we talk about bones and bone-related topics. and how hoarse my voice is from screaming at Disneyland on rides.
Well, it's perfect. It's perfect for the spooky month, the spooky vibe. It is October, so everything is sprinkled with a little bit of witch's cackle.
Yeah, it's always there.
It's always there. It's deep in your heart. If you're not cackling like a witch and flying by the moon, what are you doing with your life?
Yeah, you're boring. You know who's not boring is Kuno in the back wearing a skeleton onesie right now, or like a skeleton hoodie. It's so good.
Yeah, we were in Petco buying them food, and I cannot be helped or taken anywhere because I saw the little bone sweater and I was like, oh my gosh. And they only had a medium, which would have been too big for one dog, too small for the other. And so I was like, damn it. But then when we got to the cashier, I was like, I'm going to go see if they have another size. Real quick, let me go. And so I went back there and there was an XXL and I was like, hell yeah, this will fit my beautiful, majestic German Shepherd. It's going in the bag.
Winner, chicken dinner.
And he looks so freaking cute. I can't even stand it. He's repping the bones.
Always.
I thought it was funny because a lot of people, with these more misunderstood breeds like German Shepherds and Pit Bulls, they try to make them less scary by giving them, little necklaces, funny ears. I've gone the other direction.
Yeah.
I want you to be scared of my dog.
Yeah, stay away from me. This dog is scary.
This dog is scary. Not violent, just spooky.
Sorry, Crash. This is what you get for only having water in a bottle rather than in a can of LaCroix. And I missed my can, but they're all the way in the car.
And you could not be asked to do that. Where's Chris when you need him?
Not here. Not yet.
Boo.
I know.
Get that bitch over here.
Bring me my everything.
Bring me my everything. Same.
No. Try to be a little more self-sufficient than that, but it's hard. It's hard.
It's hard when they offer to get you everything. And you're just like, yeah, I'll take a LaCroix.
Okay.
Yeah, you can bring me fuzzy blankets. I won't say no. Twist my arm.
Oh my God. Speaking of, there are so many shows right now about love and romance that it makes me sick because I don't have enough time in my day to watch all of them.
What are your thoughts on The Golden Bachelor?
Okay, I haven't seen it yet, so no spoilers. I am waiting to watch it with Chris tomorrow. I'm very excited. There's also Bachelor in Paradise happening at the same time, which is monumental. There's a new season of Love is Blind, and there's a pretty recent new season of The Ultimatum. So I'm there's so much content. It's painful.
Oh my goodness. So many people falling in and out of love in so many different
fun.
ways. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm most intrigued by The Golden Bachelor because it's all people, I think, in their 60s and 70s and late 50s. And so it's what should be, emphasis on should be mature adults. But
maybe it won't be. Maybe it'll just be chaos.
I am not a person who tunes into these kind of shows, but I want to see these older ladies yelling at each other about this stinky old man.
Yeah, it could happen. He does seem very sweet from what I've seen so far. They did a little feature on him at the end of the last season, and he's a widower.
Aww.
Yeah, and has a cute family, and yeah, so I hope it works out for him, but I haven't seen it yet, so by the time this episode airs, I will have seen it, so that doesn't help me now.
Yeah. Well, you'll have to give me the rundown.
Yeah, next time.
Well, it is spooky season on the podcast, as it always is.
It always is, but it's extra hard right now.
Extra spooky, extra scary. There's 20% more ghosts in every room that you go in October. That's a fact. Right. So we run into this problem every year. This is the third year that we have encountered spooky themed, Halloween themed months. And the question always arises when your theme is death, when your theme is dead bodies, when your theme is horrific crime, what do you do for Halloween?
Yeah. Where do you go from there?
Yeah, what's the scariest, the spookiest, the most frightening horror? I bring to you the horror of our origins, our beginnings. I love archaeology, and I love thinking about all the different steps there were between ape and us, right? Mm-hmm. Because there were so many. And
evolution is real, people.
Evolution is real, and it's real with a capital R. Like, the way evolution was grinding hard, like, a couple of 100,000 years ago. It was doing its fucking thing. And it's a kind of existential dread horror that I'm picking at, because this topic really makes you question what makes us human, what distinguishes us from our ancestors, and are we any different?
Okay, I'm ready to put my brain into my skull and think.
Hell yeah. So we're going to be talking about Homo naledi, who existed 300,000 years ago.
Jesus, okay.
If that number doesn't boggle your mind to think about...
It just, like, it's incomprehensible.
Well, think about how many things happened to you in a year.
Right.
And then think about all the humans that exist. And think about 300,000 years worth of that.
Yeah. We are such a small piece of a giant planet and timeline. It's crazy.
It's crazy. Let's get into it. That's the evolution coming out of me.
Leave it in.
I gotta. So my sponsors, you wish.
Oh, God.
This episode is sponsored by tinnitus, which is the sound that I hear when I turn off all the fans in my house and it's silent.
Yeah, too quiet.
Tinnitus. Stop listening to loud music. My sources are Wikipedia, elifescience.org, sciencenews.org, nhm.ac.uk, and CNN.
Classics.
So, it is 2013. What a time to be alive.
Oh, yeah. That was a good year.
Yeah, I was a freshman in college.
Yeah, I was abroad in London, I think, most of that time.
You're still abroad, aren't you?
Yeah, I was, when I did my semester abroad in London, like a hoity-toity theater bitch.
Well, while you were taking in the sounds, sights, and smells of London, because I know that the last one is prevalent, there was a team of paleoarchaeologists exploring a cave system, the Rising Star Cave System in South Africa. And they made a evolutionarily incredibly significant discovery. While they were rooting around in this cave, and we'll talk about this Rising Star Cave System in a little bit because it is complex, I'll say that. They discovered about 1,500 pieces of fossilized bone.
Okay.
And they started collecting up these fossils and excavating further. And they figured out that these fossilized pieces of bone were actually human type bones that altogether made up about 15 individuals. And this was from a new species to science, Homo naledi, who existed 300,000 years ago. Cave of bones. Cave of bones.
Everybody's gathered around the microscope like, guys?
This one's new.
This is big.
Once they figured out what they had, they were like, this is really big. This is the only place they've found these guys.
That's crazy. And is that older than we would typically see?
Yes. This is a species that's kind of between like Homo sapiens and Neanderthals and like pre-human Australopithecine type species. Like, our bud Australopithecus afarensis? I think
no.
Lucy if you know her.
Oh, okay, sure.
Extremely old, like hominid species, or, on the way to being humans.
Mm-hmm.
But this is between those two. This is like on our way to being human as we know it.
Okay.
And so, like we were just saying with our silly goofy ha-has, this was incredibly important. They were like, holy shit, this is a new link in our evolutionary chain. And more importantly, was the place that they found it. This cave system is going to boggle your mind. Are you ready for it?
Shit, okay.
I am going to send you a picture of it right now.
All right, so this is in South Africa. What the Bone Bonanza. Shit. It says Bone Bonanza on this chart.
Oh, it does. Oh my God, I didn't even see that.
This cave is fucking wild.
Yeah. So
what?
So you enter up there at the top by those trees.
Yeah.
And then you have to climb like straight down a pretty sloped cave. And then you have to so let me tell you about this a little bit about this cave, because describing the shape is hard to do, but just know it is the very weirdly shaped cave.
Super weird cave. Super skinny in some places too.
Yes. The exploring of this cave was super dangerous. The team that was exploring in this cave, they mapped it out to have a vertical depth in some places of 328 feet.
Ugh.
Yeah, deep. And the length of this cave system is 656 feet. And as Katelyn was kind of saying, there are extremely steep parts of this cave system, extremely narrow parts of this cave system, and there's one place that's called the Superman's Crawl. You can see it on this diagram here between two larger chambers of the cave. It is just a tiny tunnel that is 131 feet long, but only 9.8 inches tall. It is 10 inches tall.
That's a no for me, dog.
You are crawling through that. That is
for a while.
That is on your tummy crawling.
I hate that.
And paleoanthropologist and National Geographic explorer in residence, Dr. Lee Berger, described the experience as such. Quote, "It was the most awful and wonderful experience in my life. I almost died coming out of there, but it was obviously worth it to make some of these discoveries. But I think an important part of that, though, it is that the journey would be not as difficult, I think, for Homo naledi." So what he's saying there is that for us humans, it's a death trap crawl into hideous darkness. But Homo naledi, they had a combination of different features than we have, would have been able to crawl through this cave system a lot more easily.
Ugh. I'm sorry, but that just creeps me out.
Well, it's interesting because Homo naledi walked upright like we do and had kind of hands like we do, but they had smaller heads and they were shorter and thinner and more like muscular typically.
Okay.
Along with that, they had feet and wrists and ankles that are more similar to like modern humans, but their brain size was closer to apes.
Okay.
I think their brain is about a third of the size of our brain.
Okay.
With this discovery of this cave system, people are coming to the conclusion that, these beings couldn't have gotten down here accidentally.
No, of course not.
And they begin to examine both the cave and the remains, and they see that there is no like trauma of being dropped at all on these bones. Like they're not shattered or broken in that way. And all of these individuals are intact.
Weird.
Yeah. And there's no sign of predator activity either. No animals have gotten to them. And there are spaces in the cave on your journey there that larger predators could not have been able to get through.
Sure.
There are also no secret shafts or evidence of sinkholes that people could have fallen straight through to. There's also no evidence that this chamber has ever been flooded, so the bodies could not have been carried there by water.
Crazy. So basically, like, these people were, buried or died there, most likely. Weren't just, like, dumped there, basically.
Bingo.
Also, I bet that the temperature of the cave and, like, the way that oxygen gets in there affected how they were decomposing.
Oh, hell yeah. They were very well preserved, like, for fossils. They were like, hell yeah, these are perfect.
Yeah.
But as you pointed out, they would have had to get down there somehow. It is an intentional act.
Sure.
You also mentioned that you don't think that they could have died all down there at once, right? Because there's possibly the scenario, right, that they all go down there and they all die, right?
I guess, yeah.
Well, evidence with how the fossils were placed indicates that they were placed at different times.
Oh, shit.
So they did not all die there together, which would have been interesting in and of itself. And there's a range of ages in the individuals as well. We have both older adults and children.
Huh. So there were quite a few I don't want to call them specimens, but like people down there.
Individuals, yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, there were about 15 individuals down there.
Shit.
And so that shows that this place was probably, and if they were placed at different times, probably used for a fair amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
And another thing that fascinates me about this cave is that when you go through this cave, there are marks that the cave has been lived in, kind of. Like, there are kind of natural places that have been worn to put, like, hands and feet and stuff. But the thing that is the most eye-catching and mind-boggling is the engravings that are in this cave, which I've sent you pictures of now.
Oh my God.
So there are these deeply carved, like, hash marks into the dolomite rock that makes up the cave. So they're just like these straight up and down or straight across carvings.
Huh.
But, like, look at how straight those lines are.
Pretty straight. I'm surprised. I wouldn't have been able to do that without a ruler.
Yeah, neither would I.
And they're pretty sure these are man-made, not, like, from rocks.
Oh, hell yeah.
Okay.
Because marks almost identical to these kinds of marks have been found in other caves in South Africa.
Oh my God.
And we're not sure if these marks have been made by Homo naledi, but we're pretty sure.
It could have been.
It could have been. And the rock that makes up the cave, the dolomite rock, is about a 4.5 to 4.7 on the Mohs hardness scale, which if you took geology in school, rocks for jacks, you would know that that's the scale that we measure how hard rocks and minerals are. And at the top of the scale for hardest would be our good friend diamond, and dolomite is halfway up to diamond. So pretty strong. So it would have taken intentional force to mark up these rocks.
But it's not like a hieroglyphic. It's not to that point, but something was happening.
Yeah, I don't know. They don't seem distinct enough to be words or shapes or animals or anything like that that you'd see, like, with cave paintings. But, like, a lot of people were speculating that it was just to mark the area.
Oh, okay.
Like, to be like, hey, we're using this place.
Yeah, stay away if you're not one of us.
Or if you are one of us, get on in here.
Yeah, welcome.
Welcome, bud. So between the markings and the location of the dead, when the finding was originally announced in 2015, it was kind of implied that they had put these bodies in the cave intentionally. And I know that we've run through all the evidence here, but that's still controversial for such a pre-Homo sapien species. So the team is keeping working on their hypothesis that these individuals were buried. And buried is a very specific phrase. So in 2018 and 2017, they start to find more evidence to support their theory that the dead are buried. They found that, surveying the, dirt ground that the bodies were found in, they found that they were placed in what looked like ovals dug into the cave surface, and then were covered up with earth.
That sounds like a burial to me.
Yeah, which is very specific because that's what the burial needs to be a burial. You need to dig the hole and you need to cover it up.
Yeah.
And that is a very specifically human practice. There's something that's similar in earlier species, something called funerary caching, which is where you take a body and put it in a cave or a natural depression or somewhere that's already been made by nature or time. These bodies were placed in intentionally dug holes and covered up. That is different. That crosses a line.
Yeah. You hear?
Well, it blows my mind because they also found one of the individuals. After examining them further, they found that in their hand was a tool. And I'll send you a picture of that. And also a little picture of what the species looked like. But this tool, possibly used to make these marks because it's very ergonomic, it fits, perfectly in the hand, was buried with an individual. And what blows my mind is that this is grave goods, right?
Yeah.
This is grave goods.
It's a tool.
It's a tool. And will he need it anymore in this life? No. But where would he maybe need it?
In the afterlife?
Boom.
Oh, shit.
Now we are getting into the crux of what makes this topic interesting and important. This is where the cosmic horror, existential dread comes in. Because if we're putting this all together, right, we're stacking this sandwich. We've got burials of the dead, which implies ritual, right? Ritual, if you jump over just a little bit, implies religion. And religion is connected with the concept of the afterlife, right? And if you jump over from religion, you get culture.
Yeah.
So we're looking at in a pre-human species that has culture and ritual. Yeah. These are specifically human things. We thought that the first human burial was about 100,000 years after these guys. These are the oldest human burials now.
That's so nuts.
How nuts is that?
There was a whole life before what we even think of as like life. Damn.
Yeah, exactly. It asks these really big questions of what is human behavior? What is uniquely human behavior? And when did those things start? When did we have a concept of the afterlife? It's possibly 300,000 years ago. Before we were even human the way we are now, we had faith that there was something on the other side. Like,
that's
how
crazy.
Wild is that?
Yeah.
That blows my mind. Because
that's so old.
It's so old. And this is a ritual. There are multiple burials. They did it multiple times. And there are places in this cave where if you were carrying a dead body, you would need to work together. And not only that, they found evidence of fire in these caves. So someone was holding the torch.
Jesus.
Imagine these guys who look mostly monkey, but a little bit us, are carrying their dead through this incredibly complicated cave system to this chamber deep within the earth. They're passing a body over a ravine and they're burying it in this sacred place with something they know they might need 300,000 years ago. That's human, baby.
That's just, that's wild. That that blows the top off of human existence in a way, because it's just like, where do they end and where do we begin?
Exactly. And it's a human need, or it's a need within species that rise high enough in this intelligence chain or evolution chain to honor and bury their dead. And it's something so universal, so old, it's older than us, this need to send people into another life.
Mm-hmm.
It's an instinct.
Yeah. Yeah, it really is. It's an instinct. Everybody's been doing it for a long time, even longer than we thought.
Every culture has we talk so much about different burial cultures on this podcast, and it started from this. All of these different cultures. It just blows my mind. Yeah. And this was before humans were running around.
Before philosophy.
Yes, exactly. I'm not sure even they, we don't have any record of if they had language. Back to kind of what I was saying about how 300,000 years is a long time when you think about every interaction that you have in a day or in a year. But imagine the private interactions of these Homo naledi, those hundreds of thousands of years ago, and making the decision and making the journey to intentionally bury your dead. It's hard to find the words to how amazing and connected it makes me feel like humans are.
Yeah. More people should remember that.
Right. Ooh, spooky!
Oh, man. That was good. That was a stinker, all right.
I've been stinking about it. I did the research for this like 2 weeks ago. I've been stinking on this one. I told my dentist about it.
Guess what? We're older than we ever thought.
And he's like, yeah, open your mouth. Let me see your infected gums. And then did not fucking give me antibiotics. Let me just be infected. Anyway.
It was a bad time. We've taken a long break for several reasons.
Yeah. But I've been itching to share this with you because it absolutely blew the top off of my cranium, and I thought that you would enjoy it as well.
Very much so. And if you didn't take geology or philosophy in school, welcome. This is your crash course. Think about it, and we will get back to you in a few minutes.
Rocks and the human condition.
Do you have a hunger for cinematic horror? Do you enjoy the thrill from seeing boogeymen, beasts, and butchers go about their dark work? Then all you need to do is speak of the devil, and the devil will come to you. Speak of the Devil is a podcast for all movies that have anything from demons and poltergeists to serial killers and the supernatural. I'm Kayla. And I'm Taylor. Join us as we embark on a journey through the dark recesses of horror films, from the classics to blockbusters and everything in between. New episodes come out every Wednesday wherever you listen to podcasts. We're not scared of anything. Are you?
Hello, and welcome back to Anything Bones. My name is Katelyn, and if you're wondering why I'm talking like this, it's because my mind is blown wide open.
My brain is flapping in the wind, fancy free.
Minnie just came over to be like, what's wrong with you?
Her brain's open. Help her.
Get my brain off the ground, Minnie.
Yeah. Quickly. She's all the way in Portland. I can't get there in time.
No, she'd just eat it, I'm sure.
Yeah. Actually, from the book Will My Cat Eat My Eyeballs by mortician Caitlin Doty, she says that a dog is actually more likely to eat you first than your cat.
Okay.
But only because it might rip pieces off your face because it's trying to wake you up.
Oh, God damn it. No, I don't want to hear this. It'll never happen, and has never happened in the history of the world. All right. Now for something completely different. So I'm going to take us to Queens in the 1920s.
Hey.
My sources for this were Smithsonian Magazine, Time, and History.com. So we are at March 20th, 1927 in Queens.
Take me there, old sport.
A woman named Ruth Snyder claims that, quote, 2 giant Italians, unquote, had broken into her house and knocked her out. She says they tied her up, and even though her daughter was sound asleep upstairs, they managed to kill her poor husband and steal her jewelry. Can you believe this?
We got to be on the lookout for these guys.
Yeah, definitely keep an eye out for the, quote, 2 giant Italians.
Sounds a bit racist, but I will.
Sounds bad. It was bad.
Sounds bad.
So these guys, they killed Ruth's husband by, quote, hitting him with a weight from a window sash, stuffing chloroform-soaked cotton up his nose, and then strangling him with picture frame wire.
You know, I find
unquote.
it really funny that 2 really big Italian guys had to try so many things to kill a guy.
Had that much trouble. Yep. So I wrote here, you know, like burglars do.
You know, every burglary I've ever heard of, really the central part is trying to find how many different ways you can kill only one person in the house.
Right? And, you know, wouldn't you know it, Ruth doesn't look too worse for wear, actually. She doesn't appear to have any, you know, bruises, or she said she was knocked unconscious, but she has no bruises. And, oh, you know, her feet are tied up, but her hands are 100% free. So that's a little bit suspicious.
Girl, did you forget about your hands?
She did.
Oh,
she
no.
Forgot. And just to make matters worse, the stolen jewelry that she reported was found stuffed under her mattress.
Whenever I'm robbing a house, which is often, I never take the stuff with me. I like to, when I rob a house, I will take the stuff and then I'll stick it in different places around the house so that I can break in later and put it somewhere different in the house.
Exactly. That's how we get things done here in Queens. So her story only held up for a few hours.
Really?
Yeah, it lasted that long. She ends up telling police that she was sleeping with a married corset salesman named Henry Judd Gray and said, you know, he did it.
Oh.
My jealous lover killed my husband.
The corset salesman.
The corset salesman did it. And so police go to the corset salesman, Mr. Gray, and he does confess, but, you know, I think these two are really in love because he also accuses her of seducing him and planning the murder.
Made for each other, one might say.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And, you know, you've heard this all before. What did they find when they look into the history, the financial history, if you will? They find that Ruth forged you guessed it,
A life insurance policy?
You got it. It was a double indemnity life insurance policy for nearly $100,000 in the event of an accidental death.
$100,000 is a lot in 1920.
In 1927, you bet your ass it was.
Yeah, I would.
So much that these two lovers turned on each other.
Oh, shit.
They were both obviously arrested and charged with murder.
They were both guilty as hell.
Yeah.
Wait, but what happened to the 2 large Italian men?
Oh, they didn't exist.
Oh.
She was just being racist.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah.
They weren't across the way having tea with each other?
No, they were fake.
No.
So this was a huge sensation in the media, just like a lot of these cases that I've covered before in this time period. And murders still are a big story when it comes to like the press. And I actually sidebar, I just watched some more. They dropped new episodes of the Alex Murdaugh documentary.
Oh.
And did a lot of stuff with the trial and everything. It was really good. So it just like we're still repeating old patterns just in new ways, and we're more informed now because of the 24-hour news cycle. And I just think that's weird and interesting.
Yeah.
So Ruth Snyder becomes the femme fatale. She's described as a, quote, synthetic blonde murderess, a vampire wife, and my favorite, Ruthless Ruth, the Viking ice matron of Queen's Village.
Jeez, that takes up a whole newspaper page by itself.
That is not a nickname.
That is a sentence. That is amazing. I love that. I do not support her murder, and I do not support... Yeah, I don't support this crime, but I do support these nicknames.
Yes. Somebody had a fun time at the newspaper that day.
It sounds like everyone had a fun time at the newspaper that day. Everyone got a crack at it. Even Billy, who writes titles that are too long.
He got a special front page edition that day.
Yeah, he did.
So the corset salesman, Mr. Gray, talked to reporters all the time.
Of course he did.
He tried to paint himself as the victim. So he really leaned into this, the femme fatale storyline behind Ruth. This is a crazy sentence. It's a few sentences. He described their affair as such. Quote, sorry. This is not good. Quote, she would place her face an inch from mine and look deeply into my eyes until I was hers completely. While she hypnotized my mind with her eyes, she would gain control over my body by slapping my cheeks with the palms of her hand. He said that to the paper. I don't like it. It sounds like emotional abuse, but it also, in the context of all of it, it doesn't sound real.
First off, that would be horrible if your partner did that to you. I would hate that. Secondly, was she hypnotizing him?
Was she? Can you do that? Just grab somebody's face and look them in the eye and hypnotize them?
Maybe
and
she
slap
could.
Their cheeks over and over until they do your bidding?
That sounds horrible. Are you kidding me?
Oh, hi, Minnie. Are you tired of Mama being on the computer all day?
Murder my husband. Murder my husband. It's terrible, but that is wild.
So, the courtroom was packed like every day of the trial. There were apparently 1,500 people would be in the courtroom, and then up to 2,000 people would be just like standing outside in the streets.
Oh, damn.
So it was a big media sensation. Spoiler alert, they were both convicted.
Well, that's how it goes.
Yeah, it was pretty clear that they both had a hand in it, that they, Ruth definitely tried to conceal it, but she could not.
No, she straight up lied about it. She's very guilty.
So they are set to be sent to the electric chair on the same day, January 12th, 1928.
Oh.
So they're both at Sing Sing prison. And Sing Sing has a very rigid policy about photographers being at the execution. They don't want photographers there, which, for good reason. That's kind of yucky.
It's pretty yucky.
But that did not stop the New York Daily News. Sorry, Minnie's playing in or about to take a shit, so maybe I'll just wait for a sec or you'll be hearing it. Can you hear it?
Sorry, I was just trying to picture someone trying to sneak a camera in 1920. Weren't cameras really big?
I'll tell you how they did it. So the New York Daily News was obviously a very big paper at the time. So the prison was familiar with a lot of the journalists and photographers on staff. So they hired somebody who worked for the Chicago Tribune. His name was Tom Howard, and he was pretty unknown. Like I said, he lived in Chicago, but the New York Daily News hired him, brought him out to New York for this. They got him this single-use camera. It was strapped to his right ankle, and a trigger was wired up his pant leg. Because I don't think they had metal detectors that you went through. So, no. And he wasn't thoroughly searched. So he actually got this shit into the prison.
Wild.
So it's a very weird, scary picture. But we have this photo available for viewing now. And they published it right away with just the headline, "Dead."
Wow.
Yep.
I wish that I could capture my face over audio, because I am dumbfounded.
Do you want to see the picture or does that sound horrible to you? Because both can be true.
Both are true, but I would like to see the picture.
Okay.
I want to know what a picture taken from someone's ankle looks like.
Yeah.
Although I'm going to regret this.
I know. I'm not going to post this first on the Instagram because I don't think it's a little bit upsetting. It's spooky.
Oh, God.
Yup.
Oh, God. That's horrible.
It's horrific. It's not something we need to see. So,
and the way that they have published it is fucking sick. That's like...
It is. Yeah, I don't like that at all.
Dead. Are they deceased in this picture?
It's supposedly the moment that she was being electrocuted.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Oh, that might be the most disturbing picture I've ever seen.
Right?
Yeah. Holy shit.
If people feel like they can handle it, I will post it on Instagram with probably second. But for people who maybe don't want to see it, it is a picture of Ruth Snyder in the electric chair. She's at the far left, and you can see the legs of prison guards at the right of the image. And it's kind of blurry because assumedly she's moving a little bit. So
I thought it was blurry because it was taken by an ankle.
I mean, that too, maybe, but yeah. So the camera is rushed into the city and they develop the film overnight. And they, like I said, they published that picture right away. And the guy who took the picture, Tom Howard, gets $100 bonus for taking this photo.
Oh, good job.
Yeah, thanks, buddy. And apparently, for a very long time after, and probably still, and for good reason, everybody has to lift up their pant legs or have their pants checked before they go into an execution because of this dude with his ankle camera.
I mean, I think there's so much to be said about a picture like this. The ethics of it.
Yeah, exactly. It's a hard thing to wrap your mind around because she is a murderer.
Yes. But is it ethical? Is it humane to take a picture of someone while they're being executed?
I don't think it is. And then not only that, but to publish it and be like, well, the people need to see this. It's who needed to see that? Who?
Nobody needed to see that.
Yeah, it's sick. So I think this kind of sums, I've got a couple of quotes here about this photo that I think kind of sum it up. This one is from Marco Connelly, who is a retired detective with the New York Police Department and is an expert in this case. Quote, Snyder's electrocution photo remains one of the most horrific pieces of photojournalism, an image that leaves the viewer feeling that they shouldn't be seeing this. Its enduring shock factor comes from that moment where, visible to the eye, life is leaving her body. For all its sensationalism, the photo inadvertently served a civic purpose by confronting the public with the reality of the electric chair, what it means, what it looks like, and the kind of cruelty and pain that it induces.
I wonder if that turned a lot of people against the electric chair. I would assume that it
might
did.
have, yeah. And especially because it's a woman and people were probably more shocked by that, too.
I mean, it's see, this is again where a conflict comes in, because does that picture existing serve better the cause of the death penalty or the cause against death penalty? Because, we've talked about this many times, but the death penalty is very controversial in our country. It continues to be. And there are some people who do some crimes that challenge my view on it, which is that I'm anti-death penalty. And, there are some people where I am yes, please kill this person, but you can't, because they are people and it's inhumane to treat people like that. And, once you start picking and choosing about it.
Yeah, it gets really twisted, and it's hard to believe that anybody thought that this was something that needed to be seen just because the case was a media sensation. It's I don't think that the world needed to see it. I think it's a very private event. And I also am not for the death penalty.
But it also takes it from the abstract to the concrete.
Yeah.
It shows you a specific, because the death penalty as an abstract is just an idea, but it's like this person experiencing it.
Yeah. Who is also a murderer and did something bad. Yeah, it's another mindfuck in a different way.
Yes, exactly. It makes you have all these questions because what about the family of the husband that she killed?
Right. I couldn't find his fucking name.
Really? No name for him.
The research that I did was a lot about like this picture and then like a little less about the case. So it's just like, who was this guy?
Yeah, but he had a family. You know, he was somebody to people.
Oh, I found it. I'm a liar. His name was Ruth Snyder. He was an art director whose love of alcohol had long since supplanted his affection for Ruth. That's from Smithsonian Magazine.
Wow. But again, he is also a person.
He is a person. He did not deserve to be killed horrifically.
No. Yeah. Wow, Katelyn. We really decided to do a battle of the wits tonight.
Yeah.
It's like, bring your most mind-boggling topic. Go.
Figure out what's going to fuck everybody's mind right up.
No, but I love it. I think it's important to talk about these kind of topics, whether it's the origins of man and what makes us human, to the, question of the ethics of killing for justice.
Mm-hmm. And taking a picture of it.
Ugh, that's so gross to me, though.
Yep. $100. Bonus.
$100. How much what year was this? 1920?
1928.
1928. 1 second. Okay, $100 in 1928 is equivalent in purchasing power to about $1,795 today.
I mean, that's a pretty penny, but like, not worth it, bro.
Not worth it, bro.
Nope. Well, thanks everyone for listening. And if you can think of something else that's not worth it, bro, please share it with us on Instagram.
Yeah, and I hope that these two mind-tingling topics got your brain working today.
Yeah, wake up, bitch. It's the first of the month.
Check out our Instagram for pictures from this.
If you dare.
Yeah, seriously. But honestly, with caution, please.
Yeah.
I just saw the picture and it is the most intense picture I've ever seen.
Oh shit, sorry.
No, here's the thing. I don't support that it was taken, but I think that it exists is important. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and it deserves to be. I mean, I had never heard of this.
No.
So I feel like this is something that it's good to talk about.
Well, I think there's a lot of like cruelty and violence mongering going on in our country right now. And it seems that, like people are very quick to violence, quick to anger to solve problems. And there's a lot of hate going around. And I think something like this reminds us that there is no blanket violent solution to things.
Yeah. Well said.
Thank you.
And we hope you all come back next week for a brand new episode. Until then, bon voyage. Ow, my brain.
Happy spooky season.
Thanks for listening to Anything Bones. Follow us on Instagram or Facebook at Anything Bones Podcast, or email us at anythingbonespodcast@gmail.com.
Thank you to Nick Kruger for our spooky music and Stephen Vetteroff
at Chubby Scrubby on Twitter
for our jazzy vocals, and thank you to Camilla Franklin
at Camilla Strader on Instagram
for our beautiful bony artwork. Please rate, review, and subscribe. Boo!